Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria and welcome to today's video. Today I'll be responding to a question that was left under one of my recent weight loss videos. So I recently lost over 20 pounds in the last year consuming a high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan diet. I've been eating this way for over 10 years now. So let's get right into the question. This question comes from Stacy. Thank you so much for the question. She says, Pauline from Sugar Made Me Lean says that in order for weight loss to occur, fat and protein need to be kept to a minimum. That is correct. Walter Kempner also used a protein intake of 25 grams a day on his patients to produce results. Did you limit your protein grams, and how much protein were you consuming when you lost weight recently in the last year? So Walter Kempner also had his patients on about 5 grams of dietary fat a day. So when you keep your fat and protein intake very low, you're allowing your body to work more efficiently, because that's all that it really comes down to, is that when you have too much fat and protein in the diet, the system has to compensate for that. And it also interferes with our cellular ability to uptake glucose and oxygen into our cells to generate energy. So that's the most important thing that we need to prioritize when it comes to our health or getting results in general, is that we have to make sure that our diet is high enough in carbohydrates so that we are allowing our body to be able to create the energy it needs to do to utilize the protein, to utilize the fats, to build our system, to restore our system, to repair our system, or to generate energy for us to do work, which is the main, thing that our cells do. But in order for our cells to do anything in our body, create hormones, whatever it is, they need a sufficient amount of glucose every day to be coming in so that they can work correctly to perform their jobs. Now, what the problem here, though, is that when you consume too much fat and protein, then it clogs the system up. It obstructs our body's ability to function efficiently. So when we consume food, it gets into our GI tract. From our GI tract, our blood will transport the nutrients from our food, the macronutrients and the micronutrients, to our tissue system in order for our cells to receive the nutrients and oxygen they need in order to function. So through an intricate system, our blood eventually reaches our cells and dumps these nutrients via our blood capillaries into our interstitial fluid, which is the fluid between our cells. And then from there, the cells are able to uptake those nutrients. Well, if you have a lot of fat and protein in the blood, one, it's going to interfere with the body's ability to uptake glucose, because there's going to be too much junk floating around. A lot of the fat ends up depositing in our arteries. Fat also gets transported from the digestive tract via the lymphatic system. It can clog up the lymphatic system. Whenever you have a clog in the system, it's not going to work correctly. The body has to compensate for that. So by keeping the diet low in fat and protein, you're allowing it to work efficiently, work the way that it's supposed to. So we're not saying no fat and no protein, we're saying low fat and low protein. So the RDA, the recommended dietary allowance for protein for an adult woman, is 46 grams a day. An adult man is 56 grams a day. So it's fairly low compared to what most people believe that they need to consume of protein, and a lot of that's due to propaganda. But in general, my protein intake has ranged anywhere from probably 30 to 50 grams of protein a day over the last year. Over the last 10 years, it's fluctuated a lot. I've eaten all the way up to 80 grams of protein a day when I was really in the thick of breastfeeding. So for a woman, those, your protein needs are going to vary, but it's important to keep in mind too that we recycle 70 to 100 grams of endogenous protein every day, which means that we're breaking down proteins in our body, old cells, things like that, and we're actually using those amino acids and rebuilding structures that are dependent on them in our body. So that's part of the reason why we don't need to eat a whole lot of protein, is our body works very efficiently. It utilizes nutrients very efficiently, but the problems arise when you consume too much of the macronutrients of fat and protein. So, um, it's not that I limited my protein grams. I ate enough protein and it just happened to be, between like 30 and 50 grams a day. So it's right in line with Walter Kempner's work. It's right in line with, anybody who has gotten great results on a plant-based diet. It's because they've consumed a high carb, low fat, relatively low protein plant-based diet. So macronutrient ratio wise, my typical diet looks like if I was to plug everything into Chronometer, it would be over 90% of my diet comes from carbohydrates. About 5 to 7% of my diet is going to come from protein, and then 2 to 5% of my diet is going to come from dietary fat. So those ratios have produced wonderful results for me. In my aesthetic, but also how I perform physically, also like my health, and everything is just, optimized eating this way. So I highly recommend, giving it a try. What do you have to lose? I've received nothing but wonderful benefits from eating this way. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Don't worry about not getting enough protein. Most people eat too much. So the last thing I want to say is that the majority of my diet is composed of fruit, sweet fruit, not like durian or avocados, no nuts or seeds. I rarely eat legumes. Over the last 10 years, I've barely eaten legumes. I've barely eaten avocados. I've barely had any oil in my diet. I haven't had any nuts or seeds that I could, maybe some sesame seeds on sushi rolls, but that's pretty minimal. But I actually will ask for them oftentimes without the sesame seeds, just because one, I don't digest fats and protein very well, and it makes sense because if you have a digestive disorder, you want to maximize your ability to absorb nutrients, and you would do that with a high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan diet. But yeah, fruits, vegetables, starches, and sugar to taste has been my diet over the last 10 years, basically in a nutshell, especially over the last year. I've really mastered my appetite and satiety signaling, eating, as much as I want, using sugar to taste. And yeah, this diet's amazing. It's awesome. Give it a try. If you need my help, a link for my coaching is in the description box. Leave any comments or questions down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.